Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to talk about the gallbladder. I know a lot about the gallbladder. I have a gallbladder. Maybe you have a gallbladder as well, or maybe you are thinking about getting rid of your gallbladder. This is a good video for you to watch. I'm going to share my experiences with my gallbladder. I've had some problems with it. It's probably my favorite organ. It's probably my second favorite organ. Just a little joke to break the ice. So the gallbladder sits under the liver, has an important function, right? It gathers the bile that's produced in the liver, it stores it, and it concentrates it. So the gallbladder, it removes like 80 to 90% of the water from the bile. So it creates a very concentrated form of bile. And this bile is super useful. It's useful in doing a lot of things. The primary function that everybody knows about is that it helps break down fats. It acts almost like soap. It is an emulsifier of fats. What a lot of people don't know, though, is that it has other functions, right? It helps us extract nutrition from the food we eat. It also helps to neutralize the stomach acid as food moves from the stomach, which is an acidic environment, into the small intestines. The bile helps to change the pH of that environment to a higher alkalinity, so it doesn't damage the small intestines. It's pretty important, right? Because you think about it, you're going from an acidic environment to an alkaline environment. The bile from the gallbladder is a major player in making sure that that process works correctly. It's a great detoxifier. Bile has a wonderful property of detoxification. So if you're suffering because you have been exposed to environmental toxins, heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides, right? Nasties. Bile and bile production is going to help clean that stuff out of your body. It's essential for that. In fact, when I have people that have been exposed to those environmental toxins, I always get them to increase the amount of bile that they're passing through their body. We want the bile to flow to get that stuff out. Another thing bile does is it regulates blood sugar. Not a lot of people know that. Not a lot of people believe that, but it does. It regulates blood sugar. Now, a lot of times with the gallbladder, one of the most popular things we see are these gallstones, right? And most of these stones are cholesterol, although there are some other materials that can form stones. But most of the time it's formed by a supersaturation of cholesterol in the gallbladder sac. And this happens either because there's too much cholesterol in there, like I say, and it becomes supersaturated, or it happens because there is not enough bile. If the bile is not being produced enough, if it's not flowing enough, if there is stasis in that gallbladder, that allows that cholesterol to crystallize and form these stones. These stones can get quite big, right? I have a stone that I found accidentally on an x-ray, and subsequently I own a diagnostic ultrasound machine. I did a video on this where I videoed my gallbladder for everyone to see, and we see the stone. And I have one of those, and I believe that I formed that stone during one of my dietary experimental stages where I was a vegetarian. So I did vegetarianism for 2 years to test that. I ate very, very low fat diet for 2 years. I believe during that time, because I was low in fats, I was not producing enough bile. My bile concentration went down, and as a result, I believe I got stones. I was also eating a lot of soy foods at that time, and there is a correlation between estrogen hormone production and these stones. And if you're not eating soy that is organic, non-GMO, you could be getting some problems with that as well. So for whatever reason, I formed a stone. I'm not having a lot of symptoms, and I don't want to get my gallbladder out. Maybe you want to save yours as well, you know. It's a useful organ to have because if you remove your gallbladder, your liver still makes bile, right? But it just drips that bile directly into the small intestine. There's no concentration, and a lot of times you'll have a lot of trouble trying to digest fats. Now, speaking of those gallstones and the health of your gallbladder, you really want to stay away from bad fats, partially hydrogenated, fully hydrogenated, trans fats. These are bad things that increase the likelihood of gallstones and gallbladder dysfunction. Also, there has been studies that link statin drugs to gallstones, which is really weird, right? Because statins are supposed to lower cholesterol, but yet there's a correlation with people on statins seem to have higher incidence of gallstones. Also, some antibiotics, different antibiotics that we can take, seem to increase the likelihood of gallstones. So there's a lot to the story. The pain that you'll feel from gallstone will be here, the right side of your body, under your chest. That's where the gallbladder is, right in here. And you'll get pain in there. A lot of times you'll get pain or discomfort when you eat fatty foods, a lot of gas, a lot of bloating, right? Also, you'll get shoulder pain on the right side, which is kind of weird, but the reason you get that is because of the wiring. So the nerves that run the gallbladder cross over also, and they go up to this area of your shoulder. So you can get nerve irritation from here, and it can actually refer pain to the shoulder, which is strange, but I know a lot of people that their only symptom is right shoulder pain. So that's something to also keep a lookout for. Now, if you have a progression of gallbladder disease where you have stones or a stone, and that stone is eroding the wall of your gallbladder and causing a lot of pain and discomfort, you probably are going to have to remove your gallbladder. I mean, that's going to be your call. Just remember that 80% of the population have stones that are not symptomatic. And what I like to do is propose a way to manage the gallbladder, to get the gallbladder as healthy as it can be. And if you do not have a gallbladder, I'm going to suggest the same protocol. Okay, so what is that protocol? The first thing we want to do is we want to look at increasing beets. Beets are the vegetable for bile. Eating beets naturally increases the health of the liver and the gallbladder, and it's going to up your production of bile right away. That is definitely something we want to do. So we eat the beets, and as a result of eating the beets, we stimulate our gallbladder. I should say we stimulate our liver to make more bile, which is then stored in the gallbladder. So what if you don't have a gallbladder? You still want to eat beets because you still want to increase production of bile, especially if you don't have a gallbladder because you're not concentrating it. The best product for that is standard process beta food right here. And this is made from organic beets right in Wisconsin on their farm. Looks like rabbit food. And you'll take one of these with each meal. And this is going to really thin out the bile, get that moving, get that bile flushing out of your body. Very important. And it's made by organic beets. It combines the beets, the leaf of the beet. There's a lot of research on that I'll put in the blog accompanying this video. The second thing that you want to do is you want to increase the bile itself. And we can do that by taking purified bile salts. The one that I like to use is by standard process, Cholecol right here. This is a purified bile salt. This is unlike most of the bile salts on the market. This is the one I recommend. And you're going to take 2 of those per meal. And what that's going to do is when you take those with your food, you're already going to have the bile salts available to help break down those fats. It's going to really help. If you're a person who gets a lot of gas or gets a lot of pain or discomfort when you eat fatty foods, purified bile salts are going to change your life, right? They're going to really be effective. Again, beta food and the Cholecol right here. These are the purified bile salts. Recommend both of those products if you're interested in gallbladder health. If you have to get your gallbladder removed, as a side note, there is a procedure that was traditionally done in China where they go in, they make a hole, they go into the gallbladder and they take the stone out, but they leave the gallbladder in place, which is amazing. It was traditionally done in China. It's not expensive, right? It cost about $8,000 American to have that procedure done, but you got to fly to China. I have recently heard that there are some American doctors doing that procedure. So if you are scheduled for a gallbladder removal, you can always look into that and see if you can find out if that is a procedure that may work for you. It may not, but again, it's definitely something to consider. Now, there's also a lot of talk on the internet about liver flushes. I did a video on liver flushes. I'm not a proponent. I don't recommend them. I have done them. In fact, I did a scan of my liver, of my gallbladder. I showed the stone. I did the gallbladder flush. I showed the toilet with all the stuff in there that looked like stones. I rescanned my gallbladder. Stone was still there. We know now that most of those artifacts in the toilet are not stones. They are artifacts that are made from the combination of the bile salts and the fats that you ingest as part of the flush. So, not to say that there may be not some benefit to stimulating the liver to produce that big amount of bile, to flush. Maybe that's useful. You could argue that. But I do not believe that you are removing stones. Most of these stones are too big to go through the bile duct. And so mine certainly is. And so I don't believe you're removing stones with a liver flush. And I think it can be dangerous, right? Especially if you get that stone lodged or stuck. I just don't think it's necessary. I'd much more recommend the beta food and the cholecol, purified bile salts, as a way to keep your gallbladder healthy. So if you're interested in those products, you can buy them from links on my website. You buy them directly from Standard Process. And if you use those links, there's even discounts a lot of times that you get. Plus, you get to support my channel, which is helpful to me. It allows me to do these videos, to do the free consultations that I do, and to offer copies of my book at no charge. Thank you for watching, and see you soon. Thank you very much.